Hello, everybody. This is Stephen Gardner, the author of Taming Wall Street, and I have a special guest on the line with me, Greg Keston. He is the author of Financial Freedom. He also has nearly 4 decades of coaching experience. He's one of the best financial coaches in America, and he's been gracious enough to give me a little bit of his time to discuss debt. So, Greg, thank you for being on the call today.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure.
So today, what I wanted to talk about is debt. In some circles, like the general public, they may or may not know that there's good debt and bad debt. You enter into the world of Dave Ramsey, and it's all bad debt. You enter into the world of Robert Kiyosaki, and he can't get enough debt, right? Or Grant Cardone. These guys can't get enough debt, and it's good debt. And so it leaves most people going, is debt good or bad? And how do I get out of it? Or how do I use it to my advantage? And so we want to talk for the next few minutes about that. You talk about this heavily in your book, which I've read and love, Financial Freedom. So maybe if you could, let's talk about bad debt for a little bit and what you see happening with your coaching clients and your process for helping them eliminate that bad debt and move towards wealth or towards good debt.
Yes. Yeah, no problem. Well, the one word that really signifies bad debt is consumer debt. Whenever you buy something that really depreciates, that's good debt in reverse. For instance, say gifts, vacations, certain kinds of entertainment, sports equipment, etc. There's all kinds of consumer debt that we can get into that really turns out to be depreciating bad debt. And the good news is, or the antidote, is that there's also things that can appreciate in value, which we would consider good debt. Like, for instance, typically or historically, home ownership is a good debt because it gives people a chance to enjoy the great American dream of home ownership. Another positive good debt would be education. Not the kind of education where you spend $300,000 to get a bachelor's of science in ancient history, which might not be very sellable, but an education where you can network and grow in an industry that's growing. So that's good debt too. And I would say, and this is debatable, but I go with a client's emotion and point of view. I believe that it's important to have reliable transportation. And now, granted, cars typically depreciate unless you're buying an exotic car, which is very rare. But reliable transportation is that you buy good transportation and you take care of the vehicle inside and out so it can last you many years, and you bring down the cost of that car tremendously by taking care of it and keeping it for many years. It will serve you well with reliable transportation. So those would be 3, quote, good debts that I would suggest. And the bad debts all fall underneath the consumer debts. Adult toys, equipment, things that are just not really essential or necessary in a family lifestyle can be considered bad debt. Does that give you an idea?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll share a story with you. About 3 years ago, I was in my mid-30s, and I was nearly $1 million in debt. Now, when I would share this with clients or friends or people I went to church with, I mean, they almost went white in the face, like, "Oh my gosh, how did this young man get himself into so much debt?" Nearly, it was like $980,000 of debt or something like that. And they would say, "How do you sleep at night?" And I would say, "I sleep really good, actually. Thank you for asking." Why the question? They say, "Oh, I'd just be sick if I had that much debt. I wouldn't be able to function if I had that much debt." And I said, "What if I told you that all of that debt made me money?" And they were like, "Whoa, wait a minute. What do you mean?" I said, "If I could, I'd be $10 million in debt." And their minds were like not able to wrap around this concept, And but what it was I had taken out mortgages. I at the time we've since sold these, but at one point my wife and I had 3 or 4 rental properties. I think it was 4 rental properties, and they all had renters, and they were all producing cash flow and bringing in money. But when you added all of that up and some private loans, it was nearly $1 million. And I'll tell you what, man, it made most people sick to think about that. And yet for me, I was leveraging and profiting from what I believe was good debt, controllable debt, and not things that were going to lose money like credit cards or cars or different things like that. So you probably help people as they move from getting rid of the bad debt over into understanding real estate and different things like that. Are those some of the tools that you use to help people leverage and profit from good debt?
Oh, yes. When we start off doing a financial plan in my practice, in the course of creating a financial plan, we also talk about the pros and cons of savings, investing, money markets, bonds, real estate, commodities, the stock market, etc. And I try to convey to clients that everything has a risk. There's no perfect investment, because if there was a perfect investment, then everybody in the world would be investing in it, correct?
Yes.
So what we do is we look at the risk and reward of investable assets. Now, one of the first things I do, though, in my coaching and planning is we zero in on their liabilities. I want to know exactly and with detail what is their current liabilities. Anywhere from a home mortgage to a HELOC to a educational loan to a vehicle loan to credit card loans and so forth. And we create a triage or a priority tree, so to speak, of what we can do to reduce, accelerate the reduction and the elimination of our highest interest loans, which are typically bad debt, right? Consumer loans with a double-digit interest rate, and we just work our way up the chart, and we accelerate people getting out of debt to where when they see that the only debt they have in their lives is their first mortgage on their home, and they're experiencing several $100,000 of equity, they start to feel pretty good about their ability to manage and control their debt and their financial lives. So, but I got to tell you that I hate credit card companies. And one of the things I do for my clients is I actually represent them to their credit card companies. In fact, I've got a call this evening with a new client who has made some mistakes, and they have a lot of bad debt in credit cards. And we discovered in the planning process they're paying 19% plus on these credit cards with this major credit card company that we are told to never leave home without. And I'm going to have a very frank conversation with this credit card company tonight on my client's behalf and saying, you know what? This 19% interest rate is mafia rates, and my client won't pay it. So that's a starter. And then maybe we'll keep the conversation going and say, you know, perhaps my client might not want to pay anything to you folks because it's an unsecured debt. And what I have found 100% of the time is that when I talk to credit card companies on behalf of my clients who have done some poor decisions and got into bad credit card debt, 100% of the time these credit card companies will talk to me, and we will reduce the rate down to zero. We'll reduce the balance because the credit card company knows that they're dealing with a consumer in an unsecured debt.
Yeah.
So anyway, there are always ideas and techniques and methods on how people can turn around their debt, especially bad debt, and really get rid of it quickly more than they ever imagined. And then we systematically work on good debt. And one of most of my clients, they have the goal that eventually they want to be debt-free for life. Not just debt-free, but debt-free for life, to where they own their rental properties outright, they own their home outright, their vehicles, their cabin at the lake or in the mountains. And I'll tell you, when people are debt-free for life, that is a big step of financial freedom.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I don't know if I told you this or not. I have a picture of this. It comes up in my memories on the internet every now and then. But for 2.5 years, I made getting out of bad debt a goal, and I had an index card, and I would write "become debt free," and I would carry that in my pocket every day to work, to my business, with meeting with clients. It was in my pocket. And when it would become too dilapidated, I'd get the next index card, and I would write, "get out of debt." I'd tear up the old one, throw it away. And I just kept that at the front of my mind. And I remember the day I had my wife take a picture of me. I'm in a polo shirt. I'm standing in front of our fireplace, and I'm ripping the card in half because we were now completely debt-free from bad debt.
Yeah.
And it's such a great feeling. So I love that you're helping clients achieve that good feeling, because I've been there,
Yes,
and I felt that as well.
Well,
now, go ahead.
One quick comment, Stephen. See, when you get to that point when you're totally out of bad debt, not only is that a financial event, but that's an emotional event too, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a fun time of life. Okay.
Yeah. Now, and there's lots of ways to get out of debt. I've heard of the snowball method. I've heard of the avalanche method. I've heard of the, there's another one that escapes me. There's also velocity banking. But I think at the end of the day, this is why I think having a coach like yourself is so valuable, is you can put all this stuff on paper, and it can logically make sense. And then as humans, we get in the way. And that's why I think having an accountability coach to keep you to your plan is so important. I mean, do you see people starting to stray off the path, and you got to kind of pull them back to the straight and narrow?
Oh, yeah. Yes. On some occasions, clients come to me with a already proven self-discipline to stay on task and goals, and they pay attention to details. But most people, they say, "Hey, I'm just sick and tired of being financially sick and tired. Can you help me? Can you help me get my arms around my finances? It feels like I'm chasing my tail financially," and so forth. And I say, sure, it's going to take some elbow grease. It's going to take some work. You're going to have to pay attention to some things, but I won't overwhelm you. But nor will I underwhelm you in the things that you need to do. And it is absolutely amazing to see and hear people go, "Wow, I can do this." After a first couple sessions with me, they realize that, I can see my financial plan taking place. I can see myself accelerating, getting out of debt, or getting a better allocation in my investments and building a peace of mind reserves. Dave Ramsey calls it emergency fund. I call it a peace of mind reserve. And it doesn't take years and years to get your financial house in order. It just takes a couple months of paying attention and having a good coach.
Yeah. No, that's important to have. And you're not just an accountability coach, you're a confidence coach. I just know that breeds confidence in growing your wealth and knowing that you're heading down a path that they can see a brighter future in front of them. One area that my clients and I, and this is what my book, Taming Wall Street, mostly covers 90% of the book, is showing people. Go ahead.
Yeah, by the way, Stephen, I've read your book, and it's a great book, and I would recommend that to anybody
Thank you.
who would like to get a little bit more education and understand things a bit better about how their money works. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. So in the book, I show people, most of my clients are wealthy doctors, and I show them how to build a large pool of tax-free money. And if for some reason they die, it pays out a leveraged amount of tax-free death benefit. But that's not the reason we build it. We build it so that we have these large lines of credit, if you will, that are not taxable by our government, that you can then become the owner of your own debt for car purchases, real estate, hard money loans, businesses, all kinds of things. And I know that you own one of these and have used it in the past. But those are a really incredible way to build wealth and own your own debt and legally avoid taxes. And that's what I'm trying to help educate people with Taming Wall Street. But have you seen, or experienced anybody that's using that method of owning their own debt for major purchases?
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, besides myself?
Yes.
Yeah, because I never tell clients what they should do unless I have proven it myself. And as you know, I have a program like you've described, and when it makes sense, I will share that with clients. Say, hey, because clients are always asking, well, where should I put my money? What should I be investing in? Where should I be saving? Where's the best place for a peace of mind reserve and so forth? And we get them to the point where we say, and of course, I'm not an expert in this area like you are, but I'll refer them to the Stephen Gardners. They talk to Stephen, see what he has to say, and we can do a three-way phone call if you'd like. And so I'm on the line with you and Stephen, and we'll see how this could fit into your overall financial plan. So the concept has been around for a long time. It works. It works for me. I've had my program for about 25 years now, and that's where I keep, just by coincidence, that's where I keep most of my peace of mind money. It's in that program.
Yeah.
And I have access to it for whatever I want, whenever I want.
No, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. One last question, and then I know how busy you are. But maybe let's talk just for a minute and tease out this idea of the importance of finding a balance between growing wealth and getting out of debt. I'll give an example to start this off. I was speaking with a friend of mine just today around 10 a.m. and he was saying, that they're just trying to aggressively lower their debts, pay off, their RV and their second car and some different things. And, I said, that's all really commendable, but how much do you have in an emergency fund? About $1,000. Oh, wow. Okay. How much have you saved for retirement? You're in your late 30s. I don't have anything saved for retirement. And so, I see, and I love getting out of debt, but I see a lot of people in their 30s and 40s and 50s that they became unbalanced with getting out of debt, and now they've got no debt, but they also don't have anything producing income, and they don't have any kind of real net worth. So maybe could you speak to the where do you see a balance between getting out of debt and building wealth? How do people manage the two?
And you used a key word there, manage. How do people manage the variety of things of their debt, their peace of mind levels, their liquidity, their risk reward on investments, their short-term, long-term horizon vision of what they see themselves doing down the road, their lifestyle needs? I mean, if we were to say to somebody, oh, well, you know what? You can accelerate get your debt reduction by just simply canceling your holiday festivities. You give no gifts to anybody. You don't spend any money for any social events, etc., and you will save an extra $1,000 that you could put down and reduce your car payment by 3 months by doing that. Well, is that really balance? Is that really living life the way it could be lived? No. What I recommend to clients all the time is what makes sense for your lifestyle. What do you really want to do? Do you want to step up and get out of debt in the next 24 months? Or do you want to elongate that and enjoy your summer vacations and taking the kids to Disneyland and so forth, which means if you spend money on that, it's going to take you probably about 5 years to get out of debt and not 2. And you know what? I let clients negotiate with themselves and with their spouses and then justify to me why they have these certain time frames on debt, building reserves, buying a second home, buying a new car, etc. And it's all when people have a vision of what they want, it's easy to work out the balance.
Yes, I think that's the operative word, is that vision.
Yeah, that vision. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why, working with somebody like myself or somebody like you that can take them out of everyday life and help them have that vision of how much money they might have in the future or what that might feel like. I think we get so busy just getting through the day that without that vision or that hope, if you didn't think you would ever retire, or this one I get a lot, I'm not saving because the banks don't pay much. And it's like, okay, wait a minute, because they don't pay much, now you've decided to be a bad saver. Yeah. It's because they don't have a vision of, okay, if I exercised discipline, in 5 years, I have X thousands of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars. Or by age 70, I've got X hundreds of thousands or millions. But they can't see into the future because they're so preoccupied with the present.
Yeah.
I'm sure you see that a lot.
Oh, I do. And in chapter 2 of my book, Financial Freedom, Finding What Works for You, I go into how to build a financial vision statement. And so all my clients have a financial vision statement. I insist upon it. It's the 4th form of our financial plan, and I help them establish the vision that they have for their money. And whenever they get off track or get sideways on something or are not paying attention to something, during my sessions, I'll say, let's take a look at your financial vision again, and let's read it out loud to see how much alignment you guys have or have not with your financial vision. And inevitably, when people stay on track with their financial vision, the balance remains in place.
Yeah, no, that's good stuff. Hey, I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy day. It's taken us several weeks to coordinate our calendars, and so I appreciate you getting on. And those that are listening to this, if you want an accountability coach and a confidence coach and somebody who can really help you unbiased manage your money and growing your wealth and eliminating your debts, then there's nobody better than Greg. And if you would like to learn how to take a lump sum of money that's not earning as well as you would like at the bank, or is carrying way too much risk in this volatile stock market environment, or you'd like to build a tax-free pool of money that you can own your own debt and be your own bank on, please reach out to us. Greg, how would somebody connect with you?
Well, they could just go to my website, which is www.financialfreedom.co. Charlie Oscar, just CO. And from there, they can shoot me an email, and I always return my emails.
Yes, he does. All right. Well, hey, thank you again. This is Stephen Gardner, author of Taming Wall Street. I've just interviewed Greg Keston, financial coach and author of Financial Freedom. If I can help you in any way, please reach out to me at 888-638-0080 or check out my website, yourbridgeplan.com. Greg, thank you again for being on today's call.
Yes, thank you, Stephen. Always a pleasure.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.